Yo, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the start of your final day of your first week. I'm Hysterics. I'm joined by Eragon, but
hello.
We were hoping to get casual, but this is the budget version.
Yeah. I mean, casual and Hysterics.
Oh, yeah.
It's hand in hand.
Yeah, so close enough. Also, they say you're the more buff version as well, so that kind of works
Just
out.
the flex.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're going to get you promptly into this first game. Vitality and Fnatic, I have to say, this should be a good one. It should be a bit of a banger. And the reason I'm wearing my bucket hat like I'm going fishing, because I'm fishing for Vitality's first win. Let's be real.
Yeah.
2 games in a row now, both very winnable. Both should have been a 2-0 start to make this the undefeated matchup to open up. But we just didn't get it.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? I feel like we've had a lot of throws. I don't think it helps that teams have to figure out the new patches. There's like growing pains, I feel like, when it comes to figuring out what we want to play for, when it comes to grub priority, dragon priority, kind of compositions. You have one region in the LPL doing a bunch of stuff the same way. It feels almost flowcharting in the LPL, but very different in the LEC.
It never translates over, doesn't it? I think that's the most interesting thing. Those picks change region by region, and the first one that changes up is a priority in Ivan that comes through, where this time away it's taken from Fnatic when Razork has only played this pick.
So immediately, on the top of my head, I think Ashe, Corki, Rumble are the OPs right now that are willing to be traded. Depends on what's going to be banned here. I think Corki V1's kind of golden. Whether or not you want to pick Corki when the potential for Ashe, Kalista, Ashe, Varus is available, I think the big concept here that we have to reiterate is these 2 teams are probably our most LPL-esque teams in the league. I think the rest of the teams are happy playing front to back. There goes the Corki. Is it Rumble?
Okay, that's the only thing left open available. Oscarinin, what a prime example. So B1 Rumble, but on the other side, we've started to see in these past couple of days, AD carries like the Varus just started coming up as well. And you were even telling me the primary engage tools in that support role have also been looked at heavily.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have a trifecta of really broken supports right now. Leona rising up because of the nerfs to tenacity across the board. You have Nautilus and Rel, probably with the best engage in the game. Senna could be an early B1 here. They were hovering LeBlanc as well, but it looks like it's going to be Senna. It's probably going to secure Naut here. Might be a Senna Ornn, Senna Naut. You'd see Ornn over in the LPL. Yeah. Just take that away.
Senna Ornn, the adaptation from MSI, I feel like, as well, that they've taken from the top teams, and that's why the priority's risen. So again, they have those options. We already talked about the other engage tools to go with it as well. LeBlanc being hovered before, that's something I feel like as well. Maybe you don't want to give away to Humanoid, as that has also been a first rotation ban-worthy so far. Yeah,
LeBlanc really likes to change the first strike and new Ludens. She does a bunch more bursts and is risen up as a kind of blind pick when the top tier mids are taken away. You can see Taliyah really only one up left, but LeBlanc really destroys Taliyah in lane. It's only really Taliyah favored if LeBlanc literally jumps over the rocks. So taking away the premier mid there. Hui is also available, but LeBlanc does well there too.
Yeah, I mean, again, Humanoid has only played the Hui, so it could be that adaptation to what's going to be crossing in the mid lane. Now, taken away is this Nautilus as Galio comes in. Few and far between, even in the last split, and even at MSI, I should say, when Galio started seeing high presence, or rather prevalence in solo queue, the presence wasn't there at MSI.
So immediately, what I'm looking at now is, we need AD somewhere. What kind of AD carry jungler are we gonna see?
True.
Kindred, Graves, these sorts of things. I like Galio paired off with some dive like Camille, but they already have Rumble, so unless that's going somewhere else, it's not gonna be a Rumble, it's jungle. I do think...
Old comps were like Kai'Sa based, but against Senna Ornn, how dangerous is it for the range advantage that's going to come?
You can get through lane relatively easy, I think. It's not exactly the most bully lane. Usually leave them on an island. Maybe lane swaps as well could come out if they really want to get through that lane phase. But again, we're not seeing that too often. But yeah, really weird curveballs already.
And it's crazy. Again, by the way, last Galio mid was actually in LEC 2022 Spring by Perks. Was a loss for context, but it's been that long since we've seen it. And for me, the biggest flashbacks to Galio metas are like those 2018 Worlds, 2019 Worlds as well. I'm flashing back to FPX, actually, where Doombe highly prevalent on it with Predator. But Predator's removed out of the game, so we can't see this level 1 roams as we look towards the second ban phase to keep you on track. The Kalista taken away, Jace for added range, taken from Vitality as well.
But as I said, I think you need AD from somewhere. Whether or not we see AD carry jungle bans, that's a question. Already Photon being targeted with that Jace ban. I wonder if we'll see another blind pick that takes away from Photon. Ornn is not a flex pick, it is a pairing with Senna, and you're just going to get that down bot side. So, and maybe another AD carry pinch. Varus is still open.
I mean, again, Varus mentioned Zeri taken away as well.
Classic.
So let's just go for a Carzzy takeaway then. Remember as well, this guy has also played the Ziggs that's come through, but you said AD damage has to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a rough one. This is a difficult draft to analyze because we don't really see Galio paired off very often in drafts in general.
True.
It's clearly that answer into the blind LeBlanc, which maybe they've been scrimming with as the Cassante ban comes through. Now, Renekton, rises in priority. Both teams need AD from somewhere, but Renekton doesn't do so well into Rumble. So what answer do you have into the Rumble. Old answers used to be stuff like Udyr, but I don't think Photon really likes that.
I mean, again, the fact that jungle's just been left so late here as well is another interesting part. A lot of junglers left open available outside of the Vi and the Ivan. I gotta say, Eragon, you know, Linces has been creative so far. This is another one to add into the pool as he brings that AD from his role.
This is Linces' best champion.
Oh, yeah?
This is him throwing down the gauntlet and saying, I'm gonna pick off a great pairing champion, LeBlanc with a bunch of upfront bursts to secure that reset on Viego, and they're locking it in. Now, what do you get? Jinx could work well with the dive composition, securing the rocket over the head, but I'm really curious about this flex jungle. Is it gonna be AD, or is the Galio? What do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be Zhao. I mean, I feel like I cheated
now I'm
because
not
they just gave me
excited.
the answer, yeah.
All that for that.
I mean, on top of that for Fnatic as well, you know, again, what we used to see is things like the Kai'Sa, the dive-in buddies as well.
Yeah.
But when you wanted to see more AD damage, when you used to see more consistent DPS, who can sit and play at range against Aphelios and Jinx are their current answers.
Yeah, it looks like it's just going to be a standard front-to-back team composition. You have Zhao in the front line with a bunch of front line for the Aphelios to hit. This is a lot of eyes on Noah. Rumble just going to be, you know, isolated scaling and topside with that big teamfight ultimate as well. But front-to-back is the name of the game for Fnatic. On the flip side, for Vitality, you have some 1-3-1 potential, some 4-1 potential with that LeBlanc. Grub value is going to be really high, but front-to-back there and
finally,
Kennan.
Do we get to see it? Yes, we do. We've been waiting for this, and I know you, amongst other top laners, are telling me that this pick right now is pretty damn busted.
Yeah, I think Kennan's really strong right now. Good matchup into Rumble. You outrange a bunch. It can be a little bit dicey if you get hit by E's, but in general, first strike, he loves those changes.
Yep.
So, really good laning. I know Photon plays a bunch of it as well.
Well, excited, especially since Photon's laning phase has been a big highlight here against the Rumble. We'll see how Oscarinin fares. I think you and I, reviewing this morning, going through Fnatic's last game, we were watching some of the mistakes of Fnatic, and I think it's relevant because even though this is a 2-0 team, their game yesterday, what was it, against Giant X? Where we got into mid-game, we got into some of the objective setups. That was Fnatic struggling a bit. And I feel like this comp tells us a lot about what they want to do. And again, it is some of those objective setups for this game.
Yeah, I'm curious about the mid-game for both teams, actually. I think it's going to be absolutely messy. Whichever team gets the lead is definitely not going to be secure. So I'm looking forward to see how the objective setup goes for Fnatic, like you said, because I felt like yesterday it wasn't too great.
Well, for Vitality on the other side, let's not forget, they still don't have their first win. Just a quick side note, there will be a 2-minute delay in-game due to an issue with on-stage champion select. So we are just waiting to load into Summoner's Rift, but it is crazy to me that Vitality don't have a win. Again, if you haven't watched the start of this weekend, it was against BDS. Very winnable. First 15 minutes. Hello to his parents. First 15 minutes was so rough. But man, Vitality, after the first 15 minutes, got distracted by the sign. It was so good for Vitality, but then it fell off a cliff, and BDS really took them away.
It does feel like they struggle in the mid-game when it comes to, you know, being picked. I feel like Photon was getting picked a bunch on the Renekton, same with Hilly on the Leona, and maybe to bring it all together, working with Linces.
Same against Rogue, right? The biggest thing against Rogue is it got more into the late game, and then how they were playing sides, you know, Photon getting caught out on the Camille. It wasn't perfect gameplay, but what we can say is if Vitality played like their first 15 minutes of their game, I think this team would be top 3.
And I feel like everyone gets baited when it comes to Vitality because they love watching them play the early game so much, but it's just such a letdown every time the time goes on because someone's getting picked and you know the int train's coming. So, yeah.
The int train.
It just feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately. As you said, the most LPL team here, I think. You said it's the most LPL matchup, and I agree, especially with Fnatic on the other side of the Rift, but Vitality take that to a new meaning, don't they? Especially when Linces has shown he can be really aggressive as well. The Talia early game against Rogue, I was really impressed with as well. His shadowing of enemy jungle. Like, he was on Marcoon every gank there was. And as we load into Summoner's Rift, now we have to see if they can take it a step further. If we can get to the point where Vitality lock in a major win at the end of week 1 in this 4-week split, you have to think Vitality need to start getting some wins on the board, considering that we still only go for a single round robin. And after that, your time's out.
Yeah, really important to pick up some wins here. 0-2 at the moment. I want to bring that back a little bit. 2-1 hopefully over Fnatic, who look like one of the best teams in the league.
Props to Danny, by the way. Here every day so far. Absolutely belting it. Fnatic cheer crowd out in force. Honestly, when you have someone as good looking as Marek Brazda on your team, I don't doubt why. Oh, sorry, Razork. Oh, the camera will keep swapping along, won't it?
I would say his hair is fire.
It is. Do you reckon he saw Oda and like, hang on, that look good on me?
His hair is fire. I wish I had that hair.
It is, absolutely. Or has he been watching Jujutsu Kaisen?
Maybe.
Yeah, he's got the coach.
It's so he can say, nah, I'd win.
Oh, true.
Nah, I'd win.
And with Razork, normally that is the case. He does win. So there is something we need to quickly talk about while we wait for this delay to get through. Again, there wasn't a champ select issue on stage. That's why we're waiting. You mentioned to me, Eragon, that Razork's pathing in the last game was really ingenious. Like, big brain read due to some early vision, where on this Ivan, he got a bit of a tempo advantage.
Yeah, so I think it's just time and time again, Razork's proving himself to be one of the best, if not the best jungler in the league. Playing Ivan, he had all lanes of priority, and there was such creative pathing mind games where they were the enemy team were covering for invades, and he read that and then took advantage of that by stealing away a buff. I think Razork, he doesn't have Ivan this time, and that was kind of specific to having Ivan, but just showcasing his prowess. It's going to be a tall task for Linces, I think, today. Yeah, I mean, again, going up against one of the league's veterans, I think one of the league's best as well. Razork consistently in the conversation for top 2 junglers, and the top jungler at that, I should say. Now, there is another issue. A player's settings has not been caught in ready checks, so that's why we're also waiting and vibing. The audience love it. No, they just love Noah. Noah gets all the love. I don't know if he does. He does. And I think Carzzy on the other side. Is it just AD carries?
Maybe. Maybe just because Noah looks like such a happy person, you know?
True. I think AD carries are spoiled, though.
You reckon? Because it's always about them.
I feel like I shouldn't flame 1/5 of the player base.
True. Don't worry, AD carries don't matter. Doesn't matter. We'll get in the game. Finally, here we are. Fnatic versus Vitality. It is a barnyard banger to open us up. We expect blood, fighting. We do not want lulling about for 15 minutes. Who can push each other for this win? I mean, for Fnatic to start off 3-0, especially after G2 took an upsetting loss yesterday, this would be a line in the sand to end their week 1.
Yeah. So I'm already looking at the Galio pick because I feel like that's the exciting one.
True.
We don't get many Galios, and I've seen a lot of kind of tanky Galio in solo queue at the very least. I've seen a lot of players playing it. I wonder if that's going to be the build. Could just be AP as an answer, typically an anti-mage, you know. But other than that, in the early game, my eyes are on mid lane, where you have the mid-jungle duo of Linces and Vetheo on this champion. These champions complement each other really well, because what LeBlanc's identity is in the early game is she has a bunch of setup in terms of pre-6 ganks. So maybe there's an option there, and maybe Humanoid can do the old Galio and run down to another lane.
And you always told me, I expect that. You always told me that with this duo as well, at least with the Viego relies on a lot of burst, right, for the reset. I remember you told me a month ago that that's what ranks a Viego comp really tick. A lot of burst here in the solo lanes, and I think we look at Vetheo, we look at Photon, and there's options there for setup too, and Linces might be able to succeed in Snowball this game.
A lot of upfront burst with the Kennan ult over the top, Ornn. They've got a lot with the Senna ult over the top as well. Lots of layering of damage, and in this lane, honestly, maybe I take it all back. I think it could just be first strike farming with the LeBlanc onto the Galio, because we're seeing a lot of first strike recently.
I don't blame you. Again, against the tank, it feels like the same when you just run Grasp and farm that as well. So even though push comes early from Humanoid and he drops a ward to see the Raptor camp, that information that we can track a little bit later, we'll have to see. Pause a second, Bellows Breath. Buffers the hook here for Hylissang. He takes a bit of damage, but it's not going to be too much considering Noah is only level 1 and Aphelios at level 1 has absolutely nothing.
Senna really likes these sorts of trades. She had some absolutely insane sustain with the Q spam, so these short kind of trades where there's no real all-in favors Senna quite a bit as she gets the push. In top side, it's kind of a farm lane where Kennan does outrange, but if a harpoon does land, then Oscarinin on this Rumble can chain that into a really good trade. So it's on Photon to dodge these. But naturally, Kennan should get the shove because of the outrange.
I've been waiting for this pick, not against Renekton's, as I'm sure it's a pain. Good matchup against Renekton, right?
A little bit, yeah.
I should be asking you. Yeah. But the Kennan, again, I've been waiting because it's been talked about a lot behind the scenes. I know Broken Blade is currently spamming it. But seeing Photon on it as well, our best or second best top laner in the league. Sorry, Broken Blade is second best. Photon on this pick in lane has got a lot of high expectations, especially how we've seen his lanes in the first couple of days as well. Yeah,
there's so much potential when it comes to Kennan with spacing and what have you. There's so much potential to just absolutely ruin and force recalls as
that's right.
Nice little first strike farming.
5 gold, that's 20 gold. Remember, still 15 on this patch as well. So 20 gold early for a trade is really good, especially since Humanoid's low. Opens up for Linces to think about it, but there's a heroic charge away, and Humanoid smells something fishy and walks out. Yeah,
bot to top clear into potential gank because of all the condition trades in the mid lane. That setup a bit too scary for Humanoid. Might have to recall and TV back in. So good trading coming up from Vetheo.
Especially with the dredge line coming in the bottom side. Meanwhile, for Fnatic, there's a trade back again, but Carzzy going down to half HP. As you said, won't be too detrimental considering he has that sustain, while Razork moves up towards top of the Scuttle Crab to see what he can do.
Yeah, Razork here, Photon's quite high HP, so I think both junglers should just recall. Now, they don't go for the full clear into the ward onto the Raptors, which is pretty typical, so just going back to full clearing, and top lane, the condition of the lanes is just a little too bit difficult to gank.
All right, at least vision put down for the meantime, and again, some of the tracking was able to occur from Fnatic thanks to Humanoid dropping that ward on the Raptor camp and spotting out Linces, pathing up towards that top side as well. Both junglers are now backed off and reset and seem to be heading towards this bottom side scuttle, like-minded, and depending on what Razork does next.
Yeah, both junglers already entering. Linces is already there into the river. Could be a skirmish. Vetheo is being pushed in. This Galio can sacrifice his HP bar to get push. Does have the non-magic mantle, so might be Galio favored.
Yeah, it's a pain, at least in the early game. Again, another dredge line comes through in the bottom side in the meanwhile, as junglers are now pinging each other out. I mean, the vision control from Fnatic has been pretty good so far, or at least the understanding of where Linces is going to be. And I think that's the biggest adaptation, that's the biggest homework piece that Fnatic have worked on from yesterday, where, not for themselves, but for what they viewed from this team, is that Linces was always able to match Marcoon. Their tracking was brilliant against Rogue. It looks like Fnatic know that Linces is a big piece to this early game puzzle, so they're going to keep an eye on him whenever they can.
My eyes are on Linces for when grubs spawn, definitely. I think this is a huge grub team in a minute's time. LeBlanc can use them so well, right, in the side lane. It's going to be incredibly important for trading towers on the side.
Bro, you love grubs at the moment.
I am on team grubs.
You're a grub, okay.
Ever since those buffs about three patches ago, I have been really on team grubs over team dragon, but I feel like the LEC is, you know, they've moved away from it.
It's not on it, hey, and especially when Tristana is like first pick worthy, what, in LPL? Are they still first picking it over there?
It's first pick LPL, and it's usually like Tristana Corki handshakes with crazy tower taking compositions involving Ziggs and Camille. We just don't get that here. We get front-to-back team comps and playing for dragons.
Especially when you have Razork playing Ivan as well. Like Ivan Tristana is such a good mid-jungle duo. I want to see if we adapt. Again, it's early days of the patch, and I think that's what matters most here in LEC. Like, everyone's kind of feeling out what is most relevant in comp play.
Yeah, but already, it looks like Vitality, with the LeBlanc pick, want those grubs. They're already sending up the Senna, leaving Hylissang to farm on the island as Ornn. So he's going to be happy down there, pretty much undiveable, whilst resources already being committed from Vitality and Fnatic over at these grubs.
Humanoid does have level 6 though, and that's big. I mean, you're going to get Mirage from Vetheo, so he can double up on an ability, but I think more importantly, the hero's entrance from Humanoid is that big Wombo team composition, team fighting ability. Nice English from me. Oscarinin as well, he's got his own ability to hit at level 6 as Vetheo just gets away from the Justice Punch. And now that Jun and Razork are here, they're looking to contest, but they're going to be late to the show. Dredgeline at least comes through. Hilly is going to bellows breath, but he's going to get double knocked up and sent backwards. Close to dying as Humanoid Justice punches and overcooks as Vetheo is going to distort in. There's not enough damage to kill Razork yet as Carzzy backs up, but for this trade for Fnatic hovering mid, they lose grubs.
Yeah, so Hylissang was trying to force a play out, maybe have Fnatic overextend, but it's fine because he can TP down bot side and catch the wave, so there's no real cross map. They might get a plating for Noah here.
True.
He did have chakrams, that's what I had my eyes on. Whilst you're taking grubs, he did have chakrams to potentially secure some platings, but that TP means Hylissang goes unpunished.
But if you're talking about grubs, which, by the way, Fnatic were able to get one of out of the pairing as well, still for Vitality, a big win is they're able to pick up the other two and start that timer again. When we know that 4 grubs now spawn the family, that's all you need to get things started. Lince is now level 6 as well, by the way. Is the equalizer going to be used?
Yeah.
But, it doesn't really hit much, and now it's baited in. Lince is here for the reset, which should come so damn easy. Oscarinin with no hope as the stun doesn't connect, though. Oscar holding on to Flash. He burns it, but there it's matched. Linces gets first blood, nevertheless.
I think he was holding Flash for that ultimate from Linces, but instead he just Flash auto attack, so the Flash wouldn't save him in that position. But you could see the gank setup there was the equalizer missed. The Kennan minion is
response play is going to come through. Hilly is getting sharded up. There's the ulti from Razork as well. The Ornn taking a while to dive. No one gets the hit, but he's out of range. The dive not a success. The wave is at least crashing in. If there's going to be a round 2.
Hylissang's healing so much from the cookies. This might be really hard to dive now. He's almost at 1,000 health.
There's no wave left. It's gone. Hylissang and Carzzy must be cheering as topside is a raging success.
Yeah, the sustain there. Wow, they dropped so close. Noah preemptively barriers as well to potentially tank under tower, but Hylissang 1 or 2 autos away. Managed to survive the dive.
I mean, man, that is a big deal. Carzzy able to pick up souls in the meantime as well, by the way. 30 at 8 minutes. Ain't half bad, if you're asking me. Carzzy feeling pretty good. And I think over these past couple of days, if you haven't been watching the LEC, Carzzy's been popping off once again. What was my vote for AD carry the split, last split? Who'd you vote for?
Carzzy, both splits, winter and spring.
Oh, is that right? You came on the desk, you're like, I voted for Carzzy.
I did call everyone out.
You did, actually. You threw so much shade. No one was expecting it. But, I mean, to be fair, it just shows the quality of this player. I mean, for Vitality, again, some of the star players are coming up huge. Photon in particular. Lince as well, already showing his head as Dragon goes down. And I think Vetheo has had some burners as well. But remember, for Vitality, it's past those 15 minutes that have been an issue. The early game so far, once again, is showing to be quite successful. It's only a 400 gold lead, Eragon, but there are CS leads in lane, like mid, that need to be looked at.
And I think realistically, the game will only ever boom in this sort of context with these compositions through side lane with Vetheo on this LeBlanc, or through the front-to-back team fighting as Gage comes down.
Humanoid thinking about it, wins a war, does good damage here. Remember, he's going tank, so there's not going to be too much AP to speak of as Fnatic just try and push out Vitality from their own jungle.
Yeah, but they are going to be really reliant, Fnatic rather, are going to be really reliant on Noah to DPS, because this is all about him. They've got so much peel. Humanoid doesn't have a champion that can solo carry. It's all about peeling and front to back. With the Xin Zhao front line, the ulti can be so oppressive. As Lince
sneaky, sneaky, blast cone, pinky, heartbreaker there. He's still going to root it up. Death charge means the play continues. Meanwhile, top laners are fighting it out, but look at Lince, he's just dead. Humanoid picks up the kill as now Photon, is he diveable with Carzzy trying to help him out?
Carzzy does have ultimate, so over the top could save him potentially. No ulti for Photon though. This looks kind of dangerous. TP from Vetheo.
Okay, TP is going to save the play, it looks like. So Fnatic back off. Remember, they still got the kill though, and it went onto their mid laner. As being up in this top side of the map, I mean, look at the timer here, Eragon. When grubs are so important, does this translate into a grub trade?
I don't think so. I think they could still secure these grubs if you're the side of Vitality. He is up in time, and they could make it in the next 15 seconds. So recall's going to come in from Fnatic, and I think the condition for Vitality to secure these grubs isn't too bad. They can walk mid as a unit and secure mid prior if they wanted.
It's important to note again, already picked up 2 for Vitality. They can get 5 here, and it's just going to be feeding season for the Kennan as we start getting a couple of items on board as well. But for now, everyone leaves it as Lince is instead going for the invade down bot side. He's looking for Razork. Fresh meat. Where is it?
Yeah, looking for a cross map down onto bot side. Can they catch Jun here? Maybe a little poke damage could set up the dive.
A bit of a peeky. No, not going to find it at all.
But what's the response here? Now, Fnatic, Razork is already beelining to the grubs. Now, it could be Fnatic securing the grubs. I don't really like this from Vitality because I really want them to secure grubs. They have the composition that can use split pushing better with that LeBlanc. So I want them to reset and head back topside, but it might just be all Fnatic.
Because are they bleeding out gold? I mean, again, not seeing some kind of cross play means that turret plating goes up towards his topside and Oscarinin gets a push in. Down bottom is called, the 4-shot comes through. Shoot time. It's hit onto Noah, but now TP play. Hilly doesn't have his jungler nearby. Why are they looking for a 2v2, you might ask? Me too. Justice Punch comes through, and even with the shield of Durand, Hilly is not going to be in trouble. He survives for now, but it is an Ornn that is down for the next minute.
Yeah, really interesting. Now the Fnatic are winning both sides, right? This largely goes unpunished. Usually what happens is you make a play down bot side and the enemy take a play up top side, right? Yep. So the grubs secure. But now they get grubs and make a play down bot, and they have 4 grubs for those might spawns.
Maybe the ult was like, I'm trying to get a flash, I'm trying to get a summoner because I think jungler could be down here, right? Especially knowing that Razork maybe was on the top side of the map.
Yeah, the engage comes down bot side before Ornn E's in. They needed to wait for Ornn to E in, then he's kind of locked in position.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they just walk away.
Well, early game goes back to a bit of a neutral state. I mean, again, for Vitality, I was tooting their horn a bit because they got the first dragon, because again, it looked like they were set up to get 5 grubs, but as we saw, Razork is able to pick up, get 4 himself, and when you have an Aphelios who can start powering down some of those turrets too with his chakrams, that also becomes a bit of an issue, especially with Rumble when he goes into overheated. He's a pretty quick turret taker as well, especially now that he's got his first item.
Yeah, lane swap coming through now. Aphelios is topside for that Rift Herald spawn soon. Now they have a bunch of damage. They could overextend numbers here. TP is up for Hylissang if they want to make a play.
Depends on who walks in first, doesn't it? I mean, Carzzy's just standing by with his jungler as Noah waiting for the wave, but he's not overextending. Photon is on a ward, so Noah ain't going anywhere near that bush.
Yeah, those minions are going to suss out that he's on the ward there. But yeah, just going to catch waves down bot side. I was looking at that ward in alcove after Hylissang catches his wave down bot. If there was a fight on the other side of the lane, maybe there was going to be a play.
I mean, I'm surprised. There's a lot of setting up, isn't there? But there's not a lot of like moving to the play itself.
I don't think Vitality want to fight at the moment because I feel like, oh, there's the TP.
Okay, never mind. They want to fight, but meanwhile the 1v1 almost happens. The center ulti flies through. Hilly's now the new turn once again. Oscarinin still in the danger zone, and the equalizer burns him down. There's so many members down here trying to commit for it as the Heartbreaker is flashed away from an Oscarinin. Is trying to do-si-do out, but Lin just stops him in his track. A 1-for-1 trade, but 3 members of Vitality are committed down bot.
I don't think Hylissang had to die there. I don't think he needed to be there to buy time. It doesn't really matter that he dies, because when he spawns, he could TP up topside potentially. There might be a risk of a dive, but I don't think so. That should be a defended tower from Hilly.
Oh my lord. But meanwhile, it's definitely not going to be a defended tower.
No, it's gone, it's gone.
You know, this is what I just said, Eragon. I'm like, man, Aphelios with 4 grubs is also really nice, as meanwhile there's a playthrough mid. Teleport going to be burned out. Humanoid has to get out of here now as Carzzy also gets a root down. Vetheo helps out Hilly. He's going to burn him. He flashes, but to his death. Carzzy picks up the kill. Now mid is under threat as well. And even though topside turret goes down first, Dragon goes to Vitality, and a bit of mid push here might help out. Yeah,
any play you make versus Grubs is always going to be losing when it comes to tower damage. They make a play in mid. That's exactly what Vitality needed to keep themselves in the game. Otherwise, they're just going to be slowly bleeding out. Now, it's important. Look at the item completion from Noah. All the damage is on him, but watch Hilly here. I don't think he needed to buy time here with the knock-up. Photon was already on the bot side, and Linces was coming.
Kennan probably gets a stun, you're right. So Photon, even though he helps Linces get the kill, I mean, Hilly makes it a 1-for-1 trade. Linces gets some resources, but first turret in the top side went solo to Noah. That's an Infinity Edge first. That is a flashback seeing an AD carry with IE first. First blood turret, plus 750 gold. That is an Infinity Edge completed, and all the damage needs to be on him as well. This is a really big front-to-back composition, like we said. And the AD carry has to be fed to carry. I mean, bro, you said it. Humanoid is a tank. It's not going to be an AP Galio here with Hollow Radiance. Oscarinin, he's the one with the AP damage on that side, and I think more importantly, going to have a big role as these fights come up, as Vetheo just pops on over around the Rift Herald. Eragon, I think we're going to fight around the Herald. Yeah, Kennan does have flash if he makes it up in time, but the Herald might be dying a little too fast. I'm waiting for the grand entrance from Humanoid as he walks in. He's now level 11. Herald's patience is wearing thin as Linces comes in for the steal, but unsuccessful. I now zoned away as the Shield of Duran zones. Justice punch out, but Call the Forge God is a train that misses its stop. Photon now looking to run in. He altered melee range, and he actually finds 2 for the stun, but Vitality, he ain't clean in that equalizer. It's bloody brilliant. Oscarinin flies on in and is cooking him up for breakfast. I'll take this one to go, thank you. As Razork looks to the dive in himself, the hero's entrance separates and tears him through as Noah has got his own stop. I want a refund. I didn't get the train. I didn't get on it whatsoever, and I want my money back. Hilly is going to have the gear up because he's eventually going to die or at least get executed. I mean, it's an absolute disaster coming in for Vitality here. The fight doesn't connect. Crucially, Photon with the flash doesn't find the engage because there's a disengage of some sort. I think it was a Nautilus hook. Let's get into that replay. Take a look. Watch Photon because everything hinges on him. That's why I mentioned he has flash, but something knocks it back. The Xin Zhao ultimate, and then the front to back. It's too discoordinated. They have a poke win con with a LeBlanc. They have an all-in win con with the Kennan, and they don't connect either. Man, Oscarinin from the angle too was absolutely brilliant. Even if he dies in the end, I have to say, you know, Eragon, I've been learning top from you and, you know, watching people like Odo and like all our great community here, which are now suddenly all top laners. One thing I know that counters Kennan really
Exhaust.
well. Exhaust. And Exhaust has been taken by Jun, and I'm sure off a cooldown will be used on Photon, so yeah,
it's one of the biggest arguments against him being drafted as a champion. The enemy support just takes Exhaust, and every time you ult, it's really brutal.
It's rough, isn't it? Like, even watching that fight, there was good damage come out. I mean, Exhaust might have played a part, but I know it's something to watch out for again as we look at Humanoid. And meanwhile, Shield of Duran going to be used. Just Panch. Vetheo's going to be tanking up, comes back on in. Remember, they're not the team that picked up the grub, so it's a little bit slower on the pushing department. Yeah, Vetheo just has to get out of there.
You can see mid-push is always Fnatic favored because of how fed they are, so any play they make on the side lane, like trying to play for the LeBlanc setup, has to be quick, but you can't make a quick play onto the Galio because he's full tank. So that play just fizzles out. Unfortunately, takes a bunch of tower damage as well because of the red buff and the CC coming in from the Galio.
I mean, also semi-global right as well, so even if something happens in side lane and he disappears for a bit, as soon as you lose vision on him, where is Humanoid is going to be the question asked. I think the biggest thing is seeing this Galio pick come into this comp. You know, we had a lot of questions, and as the chain gets landed out, Humanoid's just going to be tackling down here. Do you remember at the start of today, before we got on show, as Humanoid picks that up, we talked a lot about how comps are working in League of Legends, especially in the LEC right now. And for Humanoid as well, I guess he's putting the pieces together, and we're seeing how Fnatic want to operate this composition in this game.
Absolutely. Engage coming down.
All the Forge God. Noah, is he
does have flash.
I mean, Carzzy does a little bit of damage. A searing charge, he does flash away, but now Healy is in the middle of nowhere. No Bellows Breath means step charge connects nicely. He flashes regardless as Oscar burns him down. Vitality getting caught out in very strange places.
Yeah, Hylissang does have to, maybe the idea here is that he dies, the death time is okay because Dragon's going to spawn, no flash for Noah, and he can TP into the Dragon fight that's coming up. So maybe kind of a silver lining to that play, but again, good play from Fnatic, punishing in the aggression from Vitality.
Our audience just loves Noah. They're just like, what did Noah do? He flashed nicely. Love the support. I mean, again, for Fnatic, like, you're supporting a team that has got a lot of reliability. Yes, yesterday, the closeout versus GX wasn't perfect, but still, this is a team that has shown its force and, again, has been going toe-to-toe with teams like Vitality, where we called both these teams very LPL-like, I guess, in core.
Yeah, and I think Fnatic have done a really good job of using grubs, because what you're supposed to do with grubs is snowball so that you can test the third dragon that the enemy team has been spawning.
Oh, hang on. Kick out again. Carzzy might be in trouble. The shield is now down, and Humanoid's on him like a rock. He can't move. Noah picks up the kill exactly where you want the goal to go as he finally picks up his first, and Dragon's up. Vitality had this stacking up, but it feels like Fnatic had their choice to take it away. Yeah,
Vitality are going to have to cross-map now up top side, but you could see that Oscar's already reading the play on the cross-map, and he's going to be up there to defend. So no tier 1 turret for Vitality from Photon there. Let's secure bot tier 2, tier 1 rather, but at the end of the day, that's third dragon, and that's huge for Fnatic, because this was the win con of Vitality. They don't have the grubs, they have the dragon, so they want to secure third dragon versus the grub gold that they're securing.
I'm going to start asking you a question. I mean, will the Galio be able to be killed? You know, I guess you got a lot of, you got burst that comes through on this team, but now with the Mountain Dragon and a Soul on the way, in a very long time, Fnatic, those stats are going to start meaning more and more. That TP coming in, you cringed a little bit. You were not happy with that teleport, were you?
Yeah, it just feels like they're trying to force plays like here and there, you know, with
the answer was no.
Little rhyme or reason.
Like this? I mean, Hilly caught out Searing Charge there onto Noah. Photon far away. There's the Senna ulti as well. Vetheo is denied. Razork with the cool moves as the depth charge is even cooler. Vetheo caught out Photon with a great ulti, but again, Exhaust was saved. It counters this little rat who's from an electric land beyond any unknown. Lintus runs away, and Photon just can't seize the day.
Vitality just seems so discoordinated. Someone makes a play, someone face checks, tries to find a player mid, but no one's there. Hylissang face checks, he dies, and then Photon tries to recover it. You can see they don't even know what's happening. Vetheo cancels a recall to try and help, too late. And at the end of the day, it's a numbers disadvantage play. Photon tries to recover it, but then exhausts, like you said, and at this point, it's just doomed.
As you said, you know, one by one they go in. It's like, okay, now it's Photon's turn. We saw this on day one. Yeah. Vitality go in and, you know, that coordination just isn't there in the mid game. I love it. Jun holds on to exhaust. There's one member that needs to be exhausted in this game. One only. Marek Brazda's having a great time.
And what is that? Flash Kennan is absolutely massive. You traded that for taking tower damage on your tier 2. I want to see if top tier 2 was even taken, but it just looks like a bunch of damage from Oscar because he was hitting that tower as well. So both sides of the map for Fnatic winning again.
I mean, now even mid going to be falling down too. This opens up the map so much. Moves to a 3k gold lead for Fnatic. Baron being threatened, actually going to be started. Look at the gun choice here for Noah. They're trying to lure Vitality in.
Really quickly. It's going to be really fast with the chakrams, but they can't face check. Hylissang needs to go there already. They do have blue trinket, but it hasn't been casted yet.
I mean, come on, Vitality. Times are wasting. Poke is there. Jun's zoning off. All they need is Noah. He is the savior, remember. As Jun now dredge lines in the equalizer, perfect. Linces can't play the game. He's not unstoppable for long, and Baron held on for the time being. Call the Forge God at a numbers disadvantage now as Jun's the new target. At least they get the engagement. Baron's about to drop. Razork, wow! Just the most dangerous flip it feels like, in with a LeBlanc's distortion. I can't believe Razork almost lost the Baron.
49 HP, that was close versus no jungler.
Yep.
But it just feels like Vitality. Every single play needs to be coordinated because your whole point of your composition is to single target burst to secure a Viego reset. But they just aren't. They don't have the damage to secure those resets.
I think this could be in. Teleport's coming in, and guess what? It's Humanoid, and in AoE land, he's going to be in heaven right now. Carzzy and Hylissang on the way out, and with the hero's entrance to follow up any kind of play, no blast going to get Vitality out of dodge. Carzzy is about to die. Hilly might survive for now, but Vitality are all over the place. Even though Razork almost lost that random smite at Baron, you have to be real. I mean, Fnatic are just playing better.
Trying to use the setup and the single target burst from the LeBlanc, but it doesn't kill the Rumble. And now they just have to, you know, consolation prize damage topside onto tier 1 from the Kennan. But it just feels like they're bleeding out, and they have no real play now because their composition naturally doesn't scale as well. The front to back with a really fed AD carry and a huge front line in the Xin Zhao versus a single target pick composition that can't get through anyone because of the exhaust, as well as the Galio ult.
I think as well, we just look at item disparities where even if this was even, how would it feel right now is my biggest question. 4k gold lead for Fnatic, and into those items, we've got Lifeline set up, or rather Bloodline, excuse me. Second item here in the Immortal Shield Bow from Noah. And as he flashes the KT roster, the fraudulent emote, we all know who we're talking about. Fnatic, as 4 members with Baron, look to push in topside. And remember, Humanoid can join at any time. It's not a 4 versus 5 if Vitality grouping up here. That Galio can roll right in.
Absolutely. And I think the only way Vitality maybe bring this back is if you see some distortion leaps forward from the LeBlanc into small poke trades onto Noah, and they eventually get him down low enough that Kennan can find some kind of crazy flank. But again, it's so difficult to play, and Linces, they need that reset.
They really do. Again, they haven't found it all game long. The Equalizer zoning out. Carzzy now in a lot of trouble. He's got no saving grace as Hilly tries to step in his way, but Noah picks him up before he can do anything else. To call the Forge God. He's going to ram and jam, but the Hero's entrance just comes in with a big bam, and Humanoid says no again. 4 members of Vitality left standing, and with Baron at almost 25 minutes, this could be the cleanest game, the cleanest end we've seen in the LEC at the start of the split so far. As Jun takes up a turret shot, maybe I spoke too soon. Vitality healthy enough to send Fnatic away for another day.
They're just so tanky. Humanoid, Razork, and Oscar as well. Everyone is so damn tanky. Vitality can't do enough damage. Ooh, Razork tries to fish for something, but I think they just Baron recall out of here.
He's trying to stop any of the ports, but he won't be successful. Dragon is up now as well, but Vitality got to do their job defending top and defending this mid wave as well. Eragon, it is a rough game for them, and as you said, you're trying to give them windows of like, oh, Vetheo can poke down or at least burst down Noah. But as you said, how do you get to the back line at this point? How do you get past the Nautilus or the tanky members? You need to be James Bond for Vetheo to do anything, and at least they're getting the Mountain Dragon, denying it, but how much is this going to mean over the next 5 minutes?
I mean, it's good, right? Mountain Soul and stacking Mountain Dragons for the side of Fnatic would go absolutely crazy because
better than not.
Their composition is so tanky, right, with the way that they build and everything like that. So really good to stall out the game a little bit more when it comes to that win con. But even with that Soul, I think the way the compositions function at this late in the game, Fnatic should have went out.
Vetheo going to be in trouble again. It's the LeBlanc because Fnatic now use their magic on the bottom side of the map. And a turret is going to be coming up, and with the gun choice for Noah with the range, that's it. We love it. Turret's falling as 7,000 gold now on the charge. You look at Vetheo, he's not here. Fnatic just going to keep pushing in.
Yeah, no teleport flank either.
Call the Forge God going to miss as well. And that Equalizer once again burning down the zone control. Insane from Fnatic. Hilly's dead. His ulti didn't achieve anything as they re-engage, and Vetheo has to run away. Carzzy unable to play the game. He had a good soul collection in the early game, but his range means nothing. It's not enough to pivot anything. Fnatic again break another part of the base.
Yeah, they can't extend the play either. They have a TP ward by the blue buff, but it doesn't matter. I think they're just going to get out of here, and they can just go down mid now. Use the pressure of the side lane minions, and it's going to be easy.
Do you think this is the cleanest game we've seen so far? Because there's, I don't know, the opening segment was talking a lot about how the LEC so far, there's been a lot of throws, there's been a lot of confusion around how we've come back as a region after MSI. This does feel, despite some minor moments, like one of our cleaner games so far in this LEC split.
Yeah, I think props to Fnatic, but also really questionable choice from Vitality. I think
that's why.
It's very clear that Vitality had a grub composition they need to focus, but at one point they went bot side to try and make a play instead of secure those grubs, which really unlocks the composition to be able to play stuff like 4-1. And once you start losing your lead, the composition just does not interact well into each other.
And we talk so much about Vetheo and Linces, maybe syncing up, how great that duo is and how good the burst reliance is when you have a mid lane like that. I guess we didn't really see too much from it, did we? There's a lot of questions as Fnatic look to seal the deal now through the mid lane there, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, putting the weird dots over the U's that they have in Germany. I think it's ooh, how you sounded as ooh indeed. Hylissang is now dead. Goodbye to the support once more. 0 and 6, he's had a roughie. But I think Vitality as a unit will have to think about this one. Flash shield of Durand over the Equalizer. Photon's ult not even given a chance to shine again. Jordan saves the exhaust for the electric rat, as at least giving a reset over to Linces something, but the heroes entrance and exit now sends Vitality packing. We ask, can Vitality finally get themselves on the board? But when you are faced with an adversary like Fnatic, It's a firm no. A 3-0 finish to their first week of LEC Summer. Fnatic are sitting high.
And I've got to say, it's really nice preparation for Fnatic. This Galio pick has clearly been practiced, knowing that the blind LeBlanc will come out after a certain amount of bans.
True.
And it did so much work. It was so tanky in the side lane, making it super hard to play. And then in the team fights, you can't get Viego reset because of the front line of the composition.
Unkillable, annoying, and always on the map. Humanoid with another beauty. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, though, you can vote for your Kia player of the game at LEC on X. Now, our options, Oscarinin, Razork, or Noah. Actually, it's changed. Razork, Noah, or Jun. And I'm glad. Jun is so damn good. I feel like every week, every game, we're just going to have him on the board because of how much he achieves.
I do think that was pretty close, though, in terms of who did the best. I feel like it was quite a team effort. I mean, Fnatic just looking great across the board.
Aren't they just? But ladies and gentlemen, after this first game, it's only the beginning. We're going to go to a short break and have an interview after said break. But when we return, Giant X and SK will be gracing your presence.
Red Bull gives you wings.